Have you ever wondered what would happen if you found yourself in a situation lost in the woods? Maybe your car broke down in a blizzard like we just had here in the Midwest. We've got a special guest today, Mr. Craig Caudill, who runs an organization that specializes in teaching people like us to be better prepared out in the woods, the wilds, etc. It's going to be a great episode. Let's dig right in. Welcome to another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Well, hey, all. Time for another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. I got a new friend on here today, Mr. Craig, you say Caudill?
Caudill is the right way to say it, yeah.
Caudill. I like my pronunciation better, but we're going to call him, Caudill. Mr. Caudill is
from Kentucky, man. You got to say Caudill.
From Kentucky. You are an expert in surviving and thriving out in the wilds. Is that correct?
I spent a lot of time out there, yes. I've spent a lifetime out there, and I enjoy it and do quite a range of different things out there.
So your company is called?
Nature Reliance School.
Nature Reliance School. So people come, you teach them how to survive in the snow that just fell up here in the north, or how to light a fire, find some food, find their way, all those things?
We do quite a bit of things, but yeah, survival is just one of the things that we teach. Survival is, shelter, water, food, and all the things. We have various levels of that too. So some of those are basically camping trips where you come and study the subject matter, and then it escalates in its severity and difficulty as you move forward into level 3, 2, and 3. Level 3, for example, is you walk in the woods with nothing but a knife, and you exist and you do all the things, and that's all you have with you. So on top of that, we teach tracking. Tracking is probably what we're most maybe well known and also different from your typical survival school. We do a lot of man tracking and animal tracking, both for government agencies, including the United States military, federal law enforcement, as well as average ordinary folks, civilians and whatnot. We do some animal tracking for various universities. We've done some gatherings of different conferences and stuff where we train biologists and land managers and stuff on how to use tracking to set up cameras so they can get cameras on wildlife and study them. I'm a master naturalist too, so we do a course that we call Nature Immersion, where we teach things like tree identification. Tracks are included in that, forest ecology, reading the signs and all the things that happen in nature, basically directing people to become better woodsmen, woodswomen. And then land navigation. We do some outdoor cooking. We teach camping. Woods people, whatever, man. Those games kill me.
Go back for a sec. What's a master naturalist?
So master naturalist programs are throughout the country here in the United States. So typically your primary university in your state, if there's an agricultural university in your state, they probably have master gardener and master naturalist training. It's basically, a good way of describing it is basically getting in a Cliff Notes version of an ecology degree. So you're going to go in and become pretty good at understanding soils, trees, archaeology, water, all the things that make up nature that are out there. And so you get that Cliff Notes version of everything, and you become what is called a naturalist. And there's a lot of people that call themselves naturalists because they just love being in nature and they love studying it. And some of them are really good and really sharp. But there's a certification program through a lot of universities, and mine is through the University of Kentucky. Fantastic program. All of our instructors, I think all of our instructors now at Nature Reliance School are all master naturalists as well. And we've got people in various states, because we train people from all over the country now that are doing their master naturalist training in their own university in their own state.
That's cool. What got you down that path?
Tracking. So I do, again, if anything is my jam, tracking is my jam. That's what if I could teach tracking and be involved in tracking every day, I would be. And one of the things that I wanted to do is help develop what I refer to as key indicators in the environment. Because when if I train a special forces unit or law enforcement, or even just average ordinary civilians, how to track, whether it's man or critter, doesn't matter. one of the things that I've got to do is I've got to take a lifetime of knowledge and throw it to them in a short amount of time. So one of the things that I do is I help them see what I refer to, and one of my instructors, one of my mentors, calls key indicators. Key indicators are the things that when you show up in an environment, what are the indicators in that environment that you should be looking for that are really good at indicating passage of something through the area? So, for example, May apples or jewelweed are really sensitive plants. So if something steps on them, it's going to leave sign. You're going to be able to see it rather easily. Whereas something like fescue, not so much. It's not going to, you can step on fescue and step right off of it and not really see it. So I wanted to expand upon my understanding of soil as well as my understanding of plants better to enhance what it is that I teach my trackers, basically coming up with key indicators. And what happened, fortunately for me, is I absolutely just fell in love with the program. So it went into, again, archaeology and how water flows and how we can make it better in our world, trees, ecology, macroinvertebrate. I always say this wrong. Macroinvertebrate species in the water and how that indicates biological cleanliness and stuff of that nature.
Like
You know,
leeches.
yeah, I mean, and all the bugs that are out there, all the bugs that are in the water, and if you see certain bugs, it tells you that it's biologically clean or it's biologically not clean.
Give me an
So
example.
mayflies, for example, are really sensitive insects. And
Okay.
so when they leave their larvae in the water and if they are indicated in the water because they're sensitive, that probably means that the water is biologically clean. I want to be real clear because I've got a lot of
Uh-huh.
people listening because of survival. That doesn't mean that you can drink the water. It doesn't mean that there's not bacterial and viral contamination in the water. It just means that for the most part, it's biologically clean. And there's just a host of different insects that can tell you that. And the way you do this is you basically take an inventory. If you get into a creek, turn over rocks, pull up the insects, and you list what is there. When you do this study, there's actually a spreadsheet that you take with you. Usually it's on waterproof paper and you mark with a dry erase marker or something. And it gives you a formula and a listing of, okay, you've got this many insects of this type and this type and this type. That tells you that it has a rating. It literally gives you a rating. And that rating is, all right, this is really biologically clean. Or if there's not very many insects, it tells you it's not biologically clean. So if that's the case, then if you're a landowner, for example, you start looking, what is it that I am doing? Maybe I'm doing agricultural practices. Maybe there's a logging practice up above, upstream of me that's causing issues from my stream where it comes through my
Mm.
property. And for survival, now the way we apply it is that, if that is the only thing that you have to help determine what water sources you can drink from, then I'm going to choose the one that's more biologically clean than others. But I want to caution anybody that's listening. That does not mean that. I mean, it can be incredibly biologically clean and it still have bacterial and viral contamination in the water. It doesn't
Hmm.
mean much of anything because I've heard survival instructors teach that. I had one instructor that I trained with that taught that if it's got certain insects in it, you can just drink it. You don't have to worry about that. Is absolutely not true. That is not true.
Literally, a bear 100 yards up the creek
Yeah,
could be
100%,
taking a poop, or a rotting carcass could be 100 yards
100%.
upstream. Yeah, that's kind of funny. As you're talking, I'm remembering as a boy, a family friend of my dad's gave me the book from Tom Brown, The Tracker. I'm sure
Uh
you're
huh.
familiar with that book.
I am.
And I don't know what you think of Tom or the work, but I remember a line. I think it might have been like the opening line. He said, "If somebody moves something in your house, or you recognize it. If somebody moves something in the woods, I recognize it." And as a kid, I thought that was so cool. I grew up hunting and fishing, and I was a hunter safety instructor, so I like
Hmm.
all the stuff you're talking about. But
Yeah.
um,
Good.
I remember as a kid reading that. I'm sure you read that book, did you?
I've started it. Yeah. I won't.
And
Won't finish
and,
it.
and then it bothered you because he was running through the woods naked with his Apache brother in the Pine
I
Barrens.
found out a lot of the back information about all
Yeah,
that story and all that, and so I'm just not a
it,
fan.
it is it's silliness. But as you're talking, it's reminding me of like this mindset of like awareness in the forest and
Yeah. So
understanding what.
one
Go
of the
ahead.
things that Tom Brown did very well, and again, there's a lot of fiction there with what he's taught and the way he presented information. And so that's bothersome to me because I'm more of a scientist and analytical, and I want objective information, not subjective to fiction. Okay. But what he has done and what he did incredibly well, he's passed away, is that he got a ton of people, like thousands and thousands and thousands of people interested in the outdoors. Sometimes that was because his teaching or his writing was very inspirational, even if it was fictional, and it got a lot of people outside. And because of that, somebody like me has got to give him a nod for doing exactly that. It's, it's up to the people that have come after those people to make sure that if somebody's coming to me, I'm providing them with the best information I possibly can.
As you should. As you should.
Yeah.
So we've kind of like disconnected, right, as a society of people. I grew up, I was a 4-H kid. I built bows. I harvested game with self bows as a kid. I shot the first animal I think I shot with a bow was a rabbit, which I was surprised when I hit it, but
Hmm.
um, love the outdoors. It seems like as time has gone on, it's become almost like a box you check. Like I went on the camping trip, or I did this. I went, I went, and now elk hunting's become like the big thing because there's a bunch of social influencers that are talking about the quality of elk meat versus store-bought meat. So it's like people, they run out to the Bass Pro Shops, buy a bunch of gear, and they go do a guided hunt, and now they're outdoorsmen. Uh, let's, talk about that for a little bit, how we have disconnected from the land, from nature as we've moved into cities
There's
and
two things you
urban
said there
areas.
I'd like to hit upon. One is you mentioned 4-H. I cannot recommend 4-H enough. I absolutely love 4-H programs. I'm heavily involved in our 4-H programs here in Kentucky. Two of our instructors at Nature Reliance School work full time within 4-H. Just fantastic programming, particularly for children, but adults as well. I was a 4-H black powder shooting coach for a number of years,
Oh, cool.
and that was a great way to introduce kids to stuff. There's so many things that happen within 4-H. Secondly, yes, you're absolutely correct. We have become incredibly disconnected. A lot of people want to blame social media. It's not social media. It's just we're making our own choices, and we're making
Mm.
choices to absorb information through social media. I've written 8 books, but I'm to the point now that I don't know that I want to write any more books because people are not reading them. It's just people are absorbing content through social media. One good way that people do it, which is why I'm very thankful that you've having me on. One good way I think that is new is podcasting. Podcasting is a great way to absorb information. The key for us at Nature Reliance School, though, on the end of all my videos, I'll say the best classroom has no walls. I love it because that's where we need to be. The more I can do to enrich or educate, inspire people on social media for them to go outside, then I feel like that's what our mission is at Nature Reliance School, and that's what we should be doing. There's so much humility that is gained, so much education, so much just awe, for lack of a better way of saying it, when you get outdoors and you start realizing there's so much out there and you'll never learn it all. For example,
Mm.
for me, and I'm not saying anything negative about anybody when I say this, but for me, through hiking the Appalachian Trail, there's no way in the world I could do that. Even at my fittest, I don't think I could do that because I don't. Maybe it's because I'm ADHD. I don't feel like I am, but I can go out and look at a 12-inch by 12-inch section of the ground and be fascinated for a couple of hours because there's so much there. And anybody that engages in the environment and realize, there's opposite versus alternate branching of leaves on every tree out there. And once you figure that out, you can start to decipher, hey, this is what this tree is. And some trees have rounded lobes, and some trees had pointed ones, and some plants have hollow stems, and some plants have pithy stems. All the things that's out there, it just never ends. And the more you engage in it, you realize that trees and plants all have this really weird language that they communicate with through pheromones. And
Mm.
so when one tree gets injured, it puts off pheromones and communicates to other trees that this has happened. And so they start doing different things. And it's absolutely fascinating to me. I don't think it'll ever stop fascinating me. And that's why I keep going out we as a society are lazy. And so one of the ways that we demonstrate that we're laziness is it's easier for us to sit on a couch and watch a TV or to
Hmm.
absorb content through our phones. I do it too. I'm not, I guess I want to be clear. I do it as well. However, if we can engage in going outside, then there's so much that we can learn about ourselves, that we can learn about the environment, that we can learn about how our role is very important, but it's also minimal at the same time. It's really, really interesting how all that works. I, as an individual, can go out and get rid of, 10 acres of invasive species on a piece of property and actually make a very important impact on that 10 acres of land.
Hmm.
But the fact is, that's 10 acres out of millions and millions of acres of land out there. And so we as a collective human race, people, the more we engage, the more we can assist the environment. That's why I'm a big fan of saying that we should be stewards of the environment, not preservers. I'm not a big fan of preservation for the sake of preservation, saying, hey, we should allow that land to sit there and not do anything to it because invasive species will engage with it and they'll take over. And that's what happened in a lot of areas throughout Kentucky. Things like bush honeysuckle and winter creeper and stuff of that state nature got started on areas where somebody had 5 acres they were going to build a neighborhood on, and then they didn't do anything with it. So all these invasives came in, and now the invasives are all over the state. And so, I think we should be engaged in stewardship rather than just being just observers from our screens, whether it's our small screens on our phone and or our TV. Another way of considering it is, I, how do I say this? One way of looking at it is, I I don't want to be just a tourist.
Hmm.
I don't want to just go look at Mount Rushmore when I go to the woods. I want to go and I want to experience the woods. I'm really interested in doing exciting and interesting and life changing things. And I can't find that by looking at a phone.
Hmm.
Somebody else might. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
TED Talks or something. There might be something. I'm not saying there's not inspiration,
I
but
just saw this morning a woman married an AI, artificial, whatever, a woman in Japan created an artificial person and had a real marriage. They like, so it is real to some people.
it is, and that's unfortunate because that's not real. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my a couple of my instructors make fun of me. We had a student in class one time that she was young and she was a big Harry Potter fan,
Hmm.
and her statement in class was it was a survival class. We were doing these things out there in class, and she said, "Oh wow, this is just like Harry Potter." And man, that pissed me off because we weren't doing things like Harry Potter. Harry Potter's doing things like us. And I picked up a big handful of soil and I'm going, this is what's real. I got on my soapbox real quick. These leaves are real. This branch is real. This dirt is real. This is real life. We are in the midst of real. Harry Potter's all fake. It's fiction. I'm not saying you can't be inspired by it, but Harry Potter is like us. This is not like Harry Potter. And
Yeah.
maybe that's me and my nerdiness, but that's where I'm at on it.
Well, people see things differently, right? Like music can be interpreted from death metal to Mozart, and
Sure.
people aren't wrong. So I'm not pushing back from that. I agree with you. I kind of view the world the same way. I was just writing something the other day. I was out hunting the last day of rifle season in a neighboring state, and the forest, I helped manage that wood. I ran a tree service for years. So the guy that owns the land has gotten up in years. So there's a bunch of dead wood that's fallen over trails and some
Mm-hmm.
dangerous stuff that was near tree stands. You're like, I don't really like sitting up
Mm,
here with a freaking monster red oak trying to fall on my head. But
right.
um, it's all on purpose, right? Like this is just like the cycle of the forest. These things grow for hundreds of years, fall down, decompose, their leaves do their thing, which I mention that, and I'm thinking about these invasive species. I've had helped friends in our region with like buckthorn and things like that on their property.
Mm-hmm.
isn't that nature's way? Nature found a place to grow these things, and now it's just doing its thing.
It is, but it's not. And I guess that's a really good debate to have. So, for example, if we look at it just as the Earth as a whole, most of the invasive species that cause problems come from somewhere else, and they came from somewhere else because of us. Case in point, American chestnut tree. American chestnut tree made up about 75–80% of the forest here in the Cumberland Plateau, going from Georgia to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And it got wiped out by the chestnut blight. Chestnut blight came from Chinese chestnut because
Mm-hmm.
it came over in a box that went to the Brooklyn Zoo. It got into a chestnut tree in the Brooklyn Zoo. And then, about 30 years later, there's no more American chestnut trees.
It's
Now,
crazy.
that was an invasive that killed those trees off. Now, is that nature? Yeah, sort of, but really, it's because we brought it here. And the emerald ash borer that's killing all of our ash trees, the
Mm-hmm.
hemlock woody adelgid that's killing all our hemlock trees here in eastern Kentucky, the winter creeper that's covering the ground and nothing will grow out of it unless you kill it, the bush honeysuckle that's covering all the ground here, a lot of the ground in forested areas here in Kentucky. Those are all things that were imported here by us to do something because we engaged in nature in a way that was problematic, not stewardship minded. We brought honeysuckle here to create a hedge for livestock. Well, that was stupid. We didn't think about what kind of role that would play down the road if it took over our whole forest. So, that's where the $1 million question is. Yeah, that's nature because it's a natural thing, meaning it's something that grows, but it is not natural to this area, and it shouldn't be in this area. Now, if you look at it like, hey, we play an insignificant role here in Kentucky, for example, where I'm from, and I'm only here for, less than 100 years, and 2,000 years from now, all those things will have grown and dissipated or whatever, then yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. But, in my lifetime, I want to take care of the woods as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. I think it's interesting, like you just said, our lifespan, we look around and we don't even realize how much stuff doesn't belong here, like tumbleweeds or the kudzu that's all over
Hmm.
hillsides throughout the South, or a million other things that they've been here in our lifetime, so people just assume like, oh, the tumbleweed, that's the Great American West from cowboy movies. Like, no, it's not.
Right,
That never
right,
belonged
right.
here. Yeah, that's go ahead.
Yeah. You're dead on, man, and I love that perspective. I like to introduce that topic to people. I like people to know, hey, these are naturalized things that may have not been here. They might be here now. Some of these are literally invasive, meaning they're going to cause problems. Some of them don't. I mean, there's some species here that they grow here now and they don't cause problems. That's a good thing. I guess that's a question that it really, in my mind, is not as objective as we would like it to be. Meaning, it's all about time frame.
Hmm.
The whatever amount of time that I have here in Kentucky, because I love Kentucky. I've lived here my whole life. I will die here. Uh, I want to make sure that I'm being a steward of the land so that I'm taking care of it here. And part of that is to remove as many of those invasive species as I can on property that I have access to. So for those that are listening that might be hunters or want access to land, it's one of the best ways that I get access to different properties. If I see property that I'm interested in, want to go hiking on, or I want to hunt on, or something of that nature, I go to the landowner and say, "Hey, can I help you get rid of all that bush honeysuckle?" Yeah, yeah, you can, and I do, and it's hard work, and it takes a lot of effort. But when I take off 20 acres of bush honeysuckle for a landowner, they're kind of, hey, you want to hunt here? I mean, it's just how it works. I mean, I don't just walk around to houses and go, hey, can I hunt here? And go, yeah, man, it's my land. I paid for it. I'm the one that works it. And yeah, you can just go on it and kill my critters. I want to be invested in it with my blood, my sweat, and my effort. And I want to earn my right to be there. And I think that's beneficial for the environment. It's good for the land. It's good for the landowner. It's good for the one that's using the resource.
I think that's a great way to do it. That's, as a kid, that's what we did. We'd knock on doors, and sometimes it was working on a hay rack for an afternoon, or
Yeah, sure.
shoveling snow out around the dairy barn or something for some of the older guys. But yeah, it was more than fair. I got to go build tree stands or
Heck yeah.
whatever out in their backyard. They seem like the right thing to do. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. These these species. I'm looking up the honeysuckle. I'm not a naturalist like you, so I don't know all these plants by heart. I've seen this many times in my travels, and it's a beautiful looking plant,
It is.
with
And
the
that's what's
flowers and
interesting about
such.
it. Yeah, bush
I've seen
honeysuckle's
it.
got a little berry on it, and one of the things that's really interesting is it's got a like a cyanide derivative in the seed, and that's why you'll yeah, that's it. Uh, and so you'll see that a lot of those bushes still have the berries on them after a long time because
Because
birds don't eat them,
don't eat
and
them.
and if the birds are not messing with stuff, that's something to pay attention to, because I mean they've evolved here right along with all the other plants, and that has been introduced in such a late stage that it's not something that those birds can utilize in their gut. They don't have the means to do that. Whereas, places where that's natural, the animals might very likely have evolved with that plant there, and so that's just the way it works.
Where did that one come from? Asia, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Japanese, it's typically referred to as Japanese honeysuckle as a collective, and there's like 20, heck, there's 20 plus different subspecies here in Kentucky alone.
So when you eradicate it, these things are covered in cherries, which are seeds.
Hmm.
So they're falling all over the ground. How do you stop those from germinating into a?
You do it at different times a year, and
Okay.
you do it at there's 2 times a year to try to eradicate. And let's talk about that one species, bush honeysuckle, because it's a herbaceous plant. One of the best ways to get rid of it is to put poison, basically, or shoot, went stupid all of a sudden. Herbicide on the leaves and it's leaved out. The cool thing to help you do this, if you have property and you want to do this on it, is that it's one of the first plants that puts leaves out and it
Ah,
hangs on to its leaves longer than other plants. So it's usually pretty easy to identify. And obviously, you want to go through the steps of identifying it for sure. But if you apply herbicide to it early in the spring, then it never seeds out. Or if you're trying to get it this year, then you might do it at the end of the year, like right now. Some of it still has leaves on. Heck, we got snow here in Kentucky right now. I was out in the woods today, and there's some honeysuckle out there that still has leaves on. Although all the deciduous trees have dropped their leaves here in Kentucky for the most part. It's easy to find and apply it so that it doesn't grow next year. Now, one
hmm.
of the newest ways, and I'm working with an organization that's utilizing this, I went to a conference 2 years ago on this, is they are actually applying it with helicopters
Oh
because
wow.
right now it's very labor intensive. So I go into an area and I put herbicide on it and then I cut it down after it dies, right? That takes me doing that with chainsaw or an axe or backpack herbicide or an ATV or something like that. So it's very labor intensive to do 20 acres. But I was working with one 4-H group, and not saying I was involved in this project. I just work with a 4-H group, and I know they did this where they bring in helicopters and they put it out at the bottom of the helicopter and they use the rotor wash to push it down into the woods. And they could take off dozens and dozens of acres in one day and kill it all off. The cool thing is that if you're doing it at the right time of year, which they know when to do this, you're pushing it down when all the trees have lost their leaves, and so it goes down and gets into the leaves of the bush honeysuckle because that is still there, kills it off, but it doesn't harm the trees.
What kind of herbicides?
Roundup, basically, and the
Damn it,
variants
I
of it.
hate that stuff.
Yeah, no, everybody does until you're trying to get rid of invasive species. Everybody hates it, but even the most stern environmentalists that I know, they use Roundup. They have to, because it's an invasive species, and you can put I mean, for example, I can work on 20 acres of area that has bush honeysuckle. It might take me a few weeks. They can do it in a day
Hmm.
with a herbicide, Roundup, and the variants of it.
Can you uproot these plants?
No, you want to kill them.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you were asking earlier because there's so much seed. As soon as you uproot it, the seed's in the soil. And so it's going to come back. It's not something that once it takes, it's not like you cut it one time or herbicide at one time and it's done. It's going to be a regular work.
What's the
And so
negative to this plant?
it basically covers the ground. And so because it holds its leaves for so long and it grows so thick, I've worked with one biologist that likes it because his thought is that some species of there. Okay, so you have shade tolerant and you have shade intolerant species of plants. All
Okay.
right, shade tolerant species of plants are plants that grow in the shade, and they're okay with that. And so, because this puts out so much shade a good portion of the year, there's some plants that'll grow under there that don't have that luxury other times of
Mm.
the year. Okay, because there's not bush honeysuckle. Now the problem is it's going to crowd out everything else and it's going to pull up the nutrients from the soil so that there's anything else that's in the area that could be growing and getting nutrients from the soil, like the trees that are around it, the other herbaceous plants that could provide a bunch of different food sources for wildlife. Those are not able to grow because it's shading the ground so much.
Can we burn them?
Burning, I have not experienced myself that it works really well. I know that there are some prescribed burns that try to take care of it, and it just comes right back. I
Dang
was
it.
involved in one probably 10 years ago where we burned a whole hillside, and the next spring, every bit of it came back.
It was all beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It came back really, I mean, because it's a really hardy species. Most invasives are incredibly hardy. Because they just don't have any natural, for lack of a better way of saying it, predators that are going to bring harm to it and kill it off. They're just real hardy. And so we have to engage with it with stuff that we, as another species in the environment, the human species, and we have these big, massive brains that think and can come up with stuff like Roundup. I know it, I'm not saying it doesn't cause problems. I know it causes problems, but something like Roundup is going to be required to kill something like that stuff.
You're not afraid of what that Roundup is doing to the ecosystem, to that interconnection of how these trees communicate with their pheromones and all that. You don't think that
When
they're like looking at you, they're like, damn it, man, he just sprayed that poison all over our ground.
Noel, plants don't think like that,
You
but
don't know that. You have
yes, I
never had a
do. I've read
conversation
a
with a
lot of that.
tree. They
I
they
have had
could
conversations
I've
with
seen
trees
Harry
actually.
Potter. I have seen Harry Potter.
You better stop. You better stop. Yeah, Roundup can cause problems when used improperly. Without a doubt, it does cause problems. It is, and this is why I'm recommending us be stewards of the land and be out in them as often as possible so that if something starts, whether it's a spotted lanternfly, which is an insect that's invasive, or bush honeysuckle or whatever, if we get it early, then we're better off. And that's part of what the Master Naturalist program did for a lot of people. They create what is commonly referred to as citizen scientists.
Hmm.
So you've got biologists, you've got dendrologists and foresters and invasive species experts and all the things that are out there, but they're just so limited because it takes so long to get highly intelligent on those subject matter. We need those people. We have to have those people. But it's the rest of it. It's me and you that are out in the woods hunting that see that, oh, there's some bush honeysuckle that popped up over here because a crow ate some 10 miles away and pooped it out and now it's growing here. Let's kill it.
Mm.
Let's eliminate it before it takes over 100 acres of land. Let's get these 3 or 4 plants. One of our instructors this past weekend was talking about he's on his family's land in another state and he's removing some of the species that are real conducive to lanternflies habituating on. And so he cuts those out because they don't provide a lot of value to the forest and it makes it more difficult for the spotted lanternfly to take residence there. And so that's how he is being a steward of the land.
Those are really pretty little bugs.
Man, they are gorgeous, but I kill every single one that I come in contact with and see.
The first time I saw one, I think I was in eastern Pennsylvania. One
Yeah.
landed on me. I was out teaching a class in the woods, and one landed on me. I was like, "What the hell is that?" And the guy that was the
Yeah, they are
landowner came
gorgeous,
and
man.
slapped it on me. I was like, "Whoa, why'd
Yeah.
you do that?" And he
Right.
pointed it. He pointed into the tree, and he's like, "Look at them." He's like, "They're everywhere." So yeah, where did those
Very
come
problem.
from?
I don't know much about them. We've gotten some that have come across the Ohio River from Cincinnati into Kentucky, but for the most part, we don't have a lot of those. And I should educate. I know what they look like in case I run into them, but I don't know a whole lot about their history.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you really quick. I'm doing the Google because now I want to know.
Putting the Google foo on it.
Let's see. They native to China, India, Vietnam, detected in the United States in Pennsylvania, which is probably why I saw it there in 2014. Wow, they're pretty new and they've really
Yeah, I don't.
taken off.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know much about them.
Yeah, they didn't get here till 2014. So I don't know, that's nuts. They're everywhere there. They significantly harm agricultural crops, native trees, and there's no natural predators. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's bad. That's classic invasive right there.
That's exactly what you were just saying. Um,
Hmm.
So you guys run this company. People come to you for myriad of different things. You said your favorite thing is tracking, and I didn't know that. When I was reading through your stuff, I saw some stuff on the tracking, but
Hmm.
I didn't know that that was your jam. I've got a friend. It's worth talking about him for a second. You might know him. His name's Clay Hayes. Clay he's got a degree in ecology, I believe, biology. He worked for the DNR out west for years and ended up winning on that show Alone, one of the first seasons of Alone. He was
Hmm.
the guy, out in the woods just eating deer and stuff, and everybody's dying, and he's just like he's having fun, like he's a woodworker, so he's like building chairs and like whittling and singing songs and writing poetry on bark with charcoal and shit.
Good for
Honest to
him.
God. And he,
That's
like
good.
one day they're like, okay, you can go home now. He's like, oh, I won. I have to go home. He's super cool. So he comes out
Nice.
last summer, hung out with me for a few days, and I've done this before in my life, but he taught me some primitive fire making skills. And that son of a buck could, from start to finish, like sourcing a few bits and pieces, making his drill or however he was going to do it, could have a fire in minutes. So we made a
Yeah.
video of me
Nice.
3 hours. And I finally
Yeah. Yeah.
I got it. I'm
That's
drenched in
still impressive,
sweat.
man. That's good.
I'm drenched in sweat. Like, I'm like, this is horrific. Uh, is that those kind of skills? Is that stuff that you're just like a geek about, or you don't really care about that stuff? You just carry a couple
No,
Bic
I do that
lighters.
kind of stuff. Again, think about it. If we're going to teach a survival class and it's knife only, that's the only way, and we do that in February. You've got to be
In
able to
in
do
in,
hand.
in your region?
Hmm.
Okay.
So we've got to be able to do hand drill, bow drill to make a fire. We have to. Or we're not gonna live. We're gonna die of hypothermia. So it's one of those things that primitive skills are absolutely a necessity. And quite frankly, I think, and it sounds like this. I don't know this guy. He's the kind of guy that I like listening to as well. Primitive skills people are really strange for the most part, but man, they've got skill that I want to learn. I do enough that I feel comfortable making the tools that I need to exist, whether it's napping flint or hand drill, bow drill, or finding edible plants and building shelters and all the things. I'm more of a, I don't know, I try to bridge the gap of both primitive skills and modern skills as well. It's kind of where I
Hmm.
land. But those primitive skills guys and gals, they're impressive. I really like what they do.
He's developed this thing. So he's a bow maker.
Uh-huh.
And after he left the government job, ran like a bow making business for years. People come and learn how to make self bows out of sticks in the woods, kind of a thing. But I'll
Oh,
connect
nice.
you to him. You guys could probably have some collaborative work. He's a professional educator. You guys probably have some stuff that you could do together. But I just mentioned him because thinking about that, we watch this stuff in movies, and I teach firearms and emergency medicine. People always think they're better at things. Like I have done this with sticks before. I was a Boy Scouts and I backpacked all over the U.S. So you did it one time when you were 14 or 16.
Right.
So in my head, it's like, yeah, I got this. If I ever have to do this, I got this. And now I've got like a professional, and it took me 3 hours, and he's telling me what to do, and he's helping me pick the correct woods to get the right friction coefficient, and all the stuff. We even went
Hmm.
and found we even went and found a pine tree to get some sap to make a little viscous material to put inside of the spindle part to make it a little more slippy. Like I had all the tricks in a good day. Excuse me, choking on coffee where I wasn't dying. Right, it wasn't snowing,
Sure.
so it's interesting how uh, uh, we think we're more capable than we are.
Yeah, that's the job of somebody like him or myself. Those of us who teach skills like that is I want people to come to a class and I want them to get the skill based understanding of what it is that we're sharing. But I also want to caution them and not give them a false sense of security.
Hmm.
And that is a very fine line for somebody that makes a living doing what I'm doing, and it sounds like what he's doing. Is you want to encourage and enrich people's lives by the things that you teach them, but you don't want them to leave thinking, I got this.
Hmm.
So our methodology is just the methodology of a lot of things, which is just simply you're on the path now. I came up through the way I learned how to understand how to teach people came through martial arts. Weird enough, um, which is
That's not weird.
when you get a black belt, you're a good beginner.
Mm-hmm.
That's the mindset that I was brought up in. And so, somebody that comes for a weekend class, yeah, they spent the money, they spent the time, they spent the energy, did all the things and they did really well. But now the work begins if you want to get really good at it. And so we're doing everything we can to positively reinforce the idea in our students, in our community that, yeah, you're doing good, but let's all continue to work to get better. And one of the ways that we do that is all of our instructors and myself included are of that mindset as well. We don't pretend to be somebody that's the all-knowing guru that knows it all. We are all students of it all. Now, that doesn't mean that I can't track like a freaking boss. I can. And let's recognize that. Let's be okay with that. But let's also know that sometimes I get it wrong. I'm still learning too. And it doesn't matter if it's tracking, we still do some get bad. We do a SEER course that's got all kinds of stuff in it, including firearms and stuff of that nature. But all those things are things that we should continue to just improve upon. I had a teacher a long time ago. He was I'm a Christian, but this was outside of the Christian faith. One of the things that he impressed upon me is that it was a meditation teacher, and he was teaching us, we are not the type of people that meditate and find ourselves on the top of the mountain. We are at the base of the mountain looking up and always trying to get there. I think my faith brings that in too. I think we're always trying to do better and improve upon our lives. And that bleeds over into what it is that we do at Nature Reliance School as far as tracking, survival, land navigation, whatever it might be. We're much better than we were before we showed up on Friday. But we've got a lot of work to do, and you can use it to become a better person, a better husband, better father, better wife, better spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, better student, just by learning some of these hard, difficult things that we do in the woods, like how to exist for a weekend with nothing but a knife. You can take that and apply that in the BJJ gym. You can do that in judo. You can do that at school when you got to deal with that tough test. These are the things that we're utilizing this training for.
I dig that. I have a similar mindset on that. We use this concept. A friend of mine that's not far from you by Fort Campbell, he says exposure equals composure. Like the more we subject ourselves
Oh
to
man, I like that.
pressure on the mat or a cold night in the woods or sitting in the tree stand or whatever, going for a long walk and you caveating that the exposure's got to be coupled to like a good mindset, good training. Because
Hmm.
I could go lay on the mat and let guys beat the crap out of me, and I'm not getting
Hmm.
better at anything. What martial art are you
Uh,
talking about?
judo. I've done judo for almost 30 years. And I did
Fantastic.
Aikido and Iaido. I've dabbled a little bit in Filipino combat systems. When I say a little bit, I've only been doing that for 9 or 10 years.
So
And
you carry a
and
couple sticks in your back pocket, do you?
I carry blades. I carry blades, but and I had an injury. I used to teach martial arts for a living. I had an injury that prevented me from continuing to do that. And I've got a couple of my guys that achieved black belt status under me in judo that now are BJJ guys and are really good. So I
That's
still
cool.
go and train with them on occasion. It's not very often, just to make sure I'm still maintaining my grappling skill. I do a lot of training on my own by myself, but if you're not getting pressured, it has a certain amount of value. But you've got to get that pressure. You got to have somebody that's trying to hit you with a stick, somebody's trying to choke you, somebody's trying to stick a knife in you. You've got to have those things to pressure you to learn how to deal with that pressure. That's what we do really well at Nature Reliance School with classes. Is it's interesting enough. One of the most difficult classes that we have, which is SEER, it's a civilian version of SEER, is the class that we get the most positive feedback from. People come into that class and they'll leave and go, "Man, you have changed my life forever." And I'm telling you,
That's cool.
we put them through hell in that class. It is hell on wheels, son. I mean, it is difficult, and and it's the class that we don't tell people what we do. And I tell them up front, I don't want you to come to this class. You're going to hate it. You're not going to like anything about it, but you're going to be a changed person. Here's the testimonials from people that went through it. Because I don't tell you what we're going to do. I mean, I
Sure.
tell you this some of the skill based stuff, but the difficult part, I'm not going to tell people. And I'm telling you over and over and over again, people come out of that going, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that I accomplished that." I think, and I would love people that are listening to come to that class. Obviously, that's what I do for a living. But the key here is that whoever's listening, you need to figure out how to do that in your own life. You need to figure out how to, what a lot of people call, embrace the suck. Get involved in something that's hard, whether it's cold plunges, working out every day, getting up an hour earlier than you want to get out of bed, talking to that girl that you really are in love with and you haven't told her yet. Whatever these things that
You've
are
just
hard to
been
do.
watching her through the windows with the
Exactly, man. I
binoculars,
mean,
installing closed circuit cameras. That's a
whatever it is
joke.
that's hard, do it.
Yeah.
I mean, just do it. I don't know what else to say. I mean, there's so much value in doing hard things. And again, it goes back to what we were saying real early is that sitting on a couch and watching YouTube. Hey, I've got 1 million followers on my Facebook page. I've got a lot of people that listen to me, right? But I'm also encouraging those million plus people, take what I'm sharing with you and get outside and do it. There's
Hmm.
value in watching YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all the things and listen to podcasts or I wouldn't be here. There's incredible value in that. But take it. Oh my gosh, and make it practical. Do something with it. Don't just absorb the information for, "Oh, I'm going to talk about that at the water cooler tomorrow."
Hmm.
Do something. Make your life better from it.
I like that. We've created this life of the luxury where you don't have to do. I grew up in this farming community. It's no longer much of a farming community, but it's comical. I do farmer carries, right? That's funny to me when
Yeah.
I hear people say that. And it's like I've got a friend. I worked underneath him as a carpenter 30 years ago, 25 years ago. He was a dairy farmer. He was a tunnel rat in Vietnam. He's
Gosh,
been
man.
he's been bucked off horses. He's crashed airplanes. Survived all this stuff. He's beating cancer right now, and like
It's incredible.
I remember him talking about some of this stuff, and very mild mannered, never braggadocious. And I've heard him before, like just the stuff that you idiots are talking about was like what me and my brothers did before school. Because
Right.
we'd get whipped if we didn't, like
Right.
you
Yeah,
had to go,
100%.
do all this stuff, and like that was just normal. Now we're like, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna go do like a 30-minute circuit or whatever. We have to create this stuff because our lives wonderfully we don't have to. I've got no
Yeah.
wood burning in the office here because I can push a
Right.
button and the heat
Right.
comes
Right.
out. Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, right?
Back when I was a kid, I grew up farming. Um, I remember my dad, we had a water trough for the cattle, and the water spigot was over there. It was about 30, 40 yards away. And I had to fill that thing up every day for about 20 head of cattle
Okay,
with
that's a
two
lot of water.
buckets, with two buckets. And at the time, I'm thinking, man, I am pissed, because I'm 14 years old or whatever, 15, and then growing up, and I'm thinking, man, this is stupid. Why don't we just run a hose over there? And we probably could have. It wasn't like my mom, my parents, and my uncle, who we farmed with, didn't have the money to do it. But there I was in school, one of the most in shape guys on the baseball team before we ever started working out because I'd been moving.
Forearms just like a
Dude,
couple of logs.
bro, my forearms were Popeye forearms, son, in
I
high
believe
school.
it. I believe
And
it.
and I'm like, okay, this is my dad one year. Another thing my dad did to me one year is I was delivering pizzas for a job after school. And one summer I was going to do that all summer. And he's like, I'll tell you what, I will pay you. He paid at the time it's $2.50 an hour if you'll work on the farm for me instead of delivering pizzas this summer. And he gave me all these jobs. But one of the jobs that he gave me, he said, I want all the rocks on the whole farm. I want them gone. I want them in a pile. And he gave me a chain, a tractor, and a sledgehammer to do it.
So some big rocks too.
Big rocks.
Yeah, yeah.
And so the things that I couldn't pull out of the ground with a tractor, I'd have to bust them up with a sledgehammer and then pull them and drag them off. Some of them I just picked up and carried off. And I mean, it was the same thing. When I got done, dude, I was a hoss
I believe it.
going into my senior year playing baseball. I mean, I was the crap, dude. I was the man before we ever started working out. I mean, and there was nothing. All right, we're going to run or we're going to hop up these steps. Get out of my way, bro. I mean, I am going to crush it because it was hard. I didn't understand what he was doing to me at the time. I'm very thankful that he did it to me at the time. Because I didn't understand it. He was smarter than me, and I'm thankful for that. It gave me an indicator of what is capable of doing hard things.
Hmm.
It's incredibly valuable to do hard things, and we need to do more of them.
I dig that. My dad would do stuff like that, like give you a screwdriver to run 50 screws in instead of the screw gun. And you're like,
Right.
what the heck? There's a drill right there. So,
So you had Popeye forearms too, right?
Oh, I did. It's people at the gym. I practice jujitsu, and people at the gym, I'm nearing 50, they're like, get your hand off of me. I don't want
Right.
to. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my grip now.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
funny. Yeah, you can't really, you can't, yeah, you can get that stuff going to the gym, but it's not the same. I swung a hammer and was a carpenter for almost
Yeah.
3 decades. So there's another level to those things when somebody does it every day. Old masons or dairy farmers that hand
Oh man.
milk. There's a guy by me, his fingers look like bratwurst from 60, 70 years of milking cows
Wow.
every day. Yeah, they
Yep.
look like a five
I don't
bratwursts
know
in his
about you,
hand.
but if I'm actually doing farmer carries in the gym, I feel like I'm weak.
So I have
It
a
doesn't matter
couple
if I
of
pick up two 45 pound plates. I'm still not carrying 2 buckets of water across the farm. I mean, I
yeah,
just felt like, oh man, what am I? I just don't feel like I'm doing anything.
I have a couple of 55-pound kettlebells that are at
Oh
home,
yeah,
and I don't do it every day, but some days I'll get a bug up my butt, and anytime I go from one end of the house to the other, I take them with me. And then if I've got a
nice.
phone in my hand, then I just take one. Sometimes I'll put it up over my head, but it's like, how many times a day can I move them? Especially if
Sure.
it's you get it as your
Yep.
job is all this digital stuff. I might find myself for hours, doing
Yep.
stuff like this. So I'll augment. You spend the whole day, and then I go to the gym for 2 or 3 hours at night, getting beat up, and that I don't think is healthy, easy either after sitting for hours some days. So
Yeah.
I try to keep moving all day. What the judo? What did that path look like? How old were you when you started training?
Early 20s. I had
Okay.
already, I'd gotten married. What got me there was I had graduated from University of Kentucky with a degree in statistics, believe it or not.
Hmm.
Despite everything we talked about, that was what I was focused on at the time. And my wife had another year of school, and I was there doing laundry one day, and there was actually a little poster in front of the dryer. We were in married housing on campus. It said, "Are you bored? Do judo." And so I saw where it was at. I went and started doing judo. And when I walked into it was underneath it was at Eastern Kentucky University. Ben Van Arsdale was my first teacher. When I walked into the Coliseum at EKU, I could hear this girl screaming, ah, like somebody was beating the crap out of her. I mean, I didn't know. I was a farm boy, man. I didn't understand martial arts. I didn't know what judo was. I thought they were all nerds. And I still do, even though I am one. But when I turned the corner and walked into what I would now refer to as the dojo, this girl was throwing this dude and pounding him into the mat. I mean, and I'm looking at her going, she wasn't big as nothing. And she was a brown belt at the time. And I was thinking about her the other day. I don't know who that was. I wish I knew who that was because she she impressed me so much by taking another human up off the ground and throwing them to the ground. And it was her screaming, she was doing her ki,
Yeah.
poo, poo, just pounding this dude. And I'm like, how can that little girl picked that dude up and I thought, whatever she's doing, I want to do it. And so I started. And I fell in love with it. And again, I can't do that much anymore just because of injury. But I got into Aikido about 5 or 6 years later after that because I was actually getting hurt a lot in judo and I was hurting people a lot. And I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact that I was injuring people, despite the fact that,
I don't know any old judokos that are not just beat to crap.
there are some good ones. There's a really good one here in the state of Kentucky, Ed Keesley. God, man, he's so good. But all the judo guys are all tough and tumble, tough and rumble. What's the word? Tough and whatever.
Tough,
Anyway,
tough.
Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
he's a tough dude. He's a German. He was a world champion in Germany. God, man, he's a good teacher. But so I saw Aikido as a grappling methodology where the goal was to not harm people or bring harm to people, and then ended up studying a very, very violent form of Aikido too, where it was all about hurting
Pouring
people.
tea on guys' eyes and stuff.
No, dislocating shoulders and elbows and all that stuff. Anyway, I did those things for quite a long time, and I love them, and I still love them. I love what they brought to the table for me. I love the fact that there were some things that I did that were 100% embrace the suck moments of my life where I did things and I'm like, man, I can't. In Japanese martial arts, traditional Japanese martial arts, there's a thing called Kangeko, which is a winter training where you basically go outside or throw the windows open of the dojo and it's freezing cold. And we used to do this in Chicago, and we would go down to the lake and do boken cuts in the lake in February, and it was just, they were stupid things that just changed my life forever because they were so hard. They were just
Hmm.
so, I mean, you talk about cold plunging for 5 minutes, man, we were in that freaking water for 30, 45 minutes, making boken cuts and come out probably unhealthy. I mean, probably
Hmm.
causing.
It's not healthy. That's not
So,
healthy.
but at the same time, it gave me a mental push to do things that I would not have done that on my own. I did them. I'm okay now. Maybe I wasn't okay at the time. I don't know. Maybe I'll have problems down the road, but I don't know. I love doing those hard things. That's what got me started in martial arts. I loved it. I love being able to help people. I eventually became a teacher of students, and so I saw the same thing in martial arts where people overcame self-imposed limits through martial arts training, and so I like that. I love helping people overcome limits that they set for themselves. And so, yeah, that's what attracted me to martial arts. It's what's attracted me to Nature Reliance School and doing what I do now.
I like it. I'm sure we've got a lot of mutual friends through those sports guys like Jimmy Pedro. I'm sure you know that
Yeah. Oh,
name.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's been on the podcast
Oh,
before.
cool. Nice.
Yeah, my girl Bennett was one of her mentors was Tadaki Hata. Am I
Don't know
saying
him.
his name right? He was
I don't know.
the Olympic judo coach, and his son, I think his son, I forget his name. He's Oklahoma State or
Oh,
one of the
wow.
colleges out there. Yeah, they're
Okay.
yeah, he was. I think they say he was the guy that brought judo to America, Tadaki.
Hmm.
Like he's got to be like,
Maybe.
I think he's probably gone now. But
Roosevelt
anyway,
Roosevelt actually had a judo demonstration at the White House, which was one of the first.
well then he's not that old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was the first introduction of judo to America. That was pretty interesting time frame.
Tadaki was the U.S. men's coach from '88 to '95,
Okay.
and then he was the Olympic coach for the Japanese team in '68 and a couple
Nice.
others. He's actually like an art teacher at a
Nice.
university. Yeah,
Interesting
pretty.
enough, I didn't follow or didn't really get deep into the sports side of judo. It was some of our guys did compete, and I competed some. I wasn't good at it at all at competition. I wanted to. The founder of judo, Jigoro Kano, thought that judo was to be used to betterment the human, not necessarily to win tournament or trophy or something. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. I don't want anybody to think I'm being critical of it because I think it's a valuable thing to do that. But for me, my focus was on just the betterment of myself. And when I became a teacher of such things, bettering other people. Some of those people were bettered by competing.
Hmm.
Some of them It was just coming to the dojo and pushing themselves
Sure.
and trying to use what we learned on the mat, off the mat, elsewhere in our communication and our relationships and our jobs. And that's what I grasped upon. That's what I liked about it. So one of the adages of judo that's really important, there's two. The first one is maximum efficiency with minimal effort. That's one of the main goals of judo. The other one is mutual benefit and welfare for all. That was one of the things that Jigoro Kano wanted judo to be utilized for. I focused heavily on that. I wanted to try to change the world for the better utilizing judo. And so I used it for some to help them get into tournaments and become better at that. I used it for some to teach them how to communicate more effectively.
Very cool. Yeah, I think if you don't train a martial art, especially I'll call it a real martial art because there's martial
Hmm.
arts. That was dismissive. I should say a martial art that's rooted in real violence because there's plenty of
Hmm.
martial arts that are they have all kind of wonderful things, but they don't really stand up to a defiant partner that's not allowing you to do things to them. It's
Yeah,
hard to
that was
understand.
Aikido for me. That was a lesson I learned hard from Aikido. There's a lot of criticism of Aikido that's very valid.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I've really looked at it hardcore to put a percentage on it, but I would say 80 to 90% of most Aikido is just soft, not
Mm-hmm.
useful in a fight. And I'm definitely not one of those guys saying I really studied the real stuff. I'm not one of those
Right.
guys. But I will say that the way I was trained was difficult. It was hard. And I have utilized it both physically to put bad dudes on the ground and hold them there, the Aikido that I was taught. And I've also used it in my communication skills. I mean, to really communicate in such a way that I don't have to get in a fight. Sometimes that's very violent with my words so that people shut down. Sometimes it's very evasive and maneuvering in a different position with my words. And for me, I read a book about it was called Aikido in Daily Life by Terry Dobson. I read a book really early on in Aikido that I had no idea. I thought everything in judo and Aikido at the time was all physical. And this book pointed to the fact that it can be utilized for things off the mat just as much as it can off the mat. And it was like somebody threw open the doors and divine light hit me when I read this
Hmm.
book because it was like I did not ever think of these things in that way. And so I guess it was just my personality that grasped upon that, and I've been trying to use them for that way ever since.
I like that. That's that's what I was about to say is that without experiencing some of that, like somebody that doesn't practice judo or jujitsu or something like that, wrestling, and you gave them that book or talked about some of the things we're talking about, they'd be like, how the heck does rubbing on a
Hmm.
sweaty dude have anything to do with my job? And you kind of
Sure.
have to expose yourself to that to understand those dynamics, which I think everybody
100%.
should. Talking
Yeah, I do
about
too.
Roosevelt, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I do too. I mean, I think everybody should engage in some sort of martial combatives. Again, whether it's wrestling, boxing, judo, aikido, swordsmanship, even something, just do something where you're physical. And there, there's a term for it. I can't remember the proper term, but just pressure. You want people to put you under pressure. There's something really good about getting choked unconscious too, and being armbarred and you can't get out, or being pinned and you can't get
There's a
out.
whole Pornhub channel related to
Oh
that.
no, dude. I've heard this. I
That
don't
was a
know about it.
joke. That was a joke.
No, but have you seen the videos where where you listen to things and they go, is this porn or is this BJJ? Have you heard it? Have you seen these?
Of course, I've got like 10 groups of guys like on
Yeah.
Instagram, constantly sending each other that stuff. Like,
It's
wait, that
just,
was
it's
yeah.
intense,
Hold on,
man.
move your left hand a little deeper. Yep, that's it. That's it. Now, all right, now
Exactly.
squeeze, flex your back muscles. Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it.
Right. Oh man, I love it. I love it. It's so funny. That's one of the things that I appreciated. I was a little bit too focused and too serious with my martial arts training. One of the things that I fell in love with the BJJ community was that they're more laid back. It's that Brazilian mindset. And that's one of the things that I've loved when I go and train with the guys that I had the opportunity to train with. It's more of a laid back community and it's a lot more fun than
Mm,
the way I was trained to teach people was very serious. And so I trained people that way. And That's another thing that I guess Nature Reliance School brought into my life. When I was put in a position where I couldn't teach martial arts anymore, I was devastated because I thought I would die on the mat. And that was my intent. I was going to die on the mat teaching martial arts. And this doctor said, I'm going to cut your left arm off if you don't quit what you're doing because it's so bad. It's injured so bad.
What did you do to your arm?
I had the radial and ulnar arteries of my arm were completely occluded from violence,
Just getting smashed.
smashed over and over and over, and being on the farm and all the other things that I've done in my life. So, yeah, it was a very particular case, and it was my body as did that. I don't know why. I mean, a lot of people have taken a lot more abuse than I have and didn't have this injury, but it's what happened to me, and so that's what he told me, and so I quit. I quit doing it, but I guess, if you look at it from a yin and yang type of perspective, I was very hard over there. And now Nature Reliance School allows me to be a little bit more soft.
Mm.
I'm talking about invasive plants and trees and plants and flowers and all the things now more so than I am choke that dude unconscious. But that doesn't mean I still don't want to have the skill set to be able to do that. I just probably have my use of violence under much more control than I used to, even back then when
It's
I was
pretty
good at
easy
it.
to take that stuff to. Here's the way I look at it. Like with our martial arts training and firearms training, I'm doing this to be able to protect myself. If the
Yeah.
training hurts me, then I am in direct opposition of the major goal of learning it to begin with. I'm missing part of my tricep and other things from martial arts. Like it's pretty easy to go too far
Hmm.
off the deep end with
Yeah, I
some of
try to
that.
caution people about it now. I've got a good friend that he's hook, line, and sinker into BJJ, and I can see it causing physical issues for him, and I really wish it wasn't that way. But it's such a good community of people. It's a fun community. It's people that push you to be better, and so you get caught up in it, and it's easy to allow it to break you down. That's what
Hmm.
happened to me. But I was a farm boy. All I knew was put your nose down and get to work, and so I was training 6 days a week, 3, 4, 5 hours a day for years, for 16, 17 years. And it just broke me down because I wanted to learn. I mean, if I'm very, very honest, I wanted to know how to bring pain and hurt and kill people with my hands for the purpose of self-defense. I didn't want to do it
Hmm.
for wrong purposes. I just wanted to be very comfortable if somebody tried to hurt me or my family. I wanted to bring pain, injury, and death to them if they deserved it. And just being very frank and honest. So I trained very hard to be able to do that. And it broke me. It broke me now. That's why I study gunfighting and knife fighting and other things because I have to use tools to make up for some of these deficiencies that I have in my physical self to be able to appropriately defend myself because I'm still that mindset. I might be sunshine, peace, and love and looking at plants and flowers and sketching tracks and stuff like that, but I still want to be that dude that knows how to take care of business.
I'm sure you still have enough physicality that you can keep your feet underneath you and take somebody off of theirs.
Yeah, 100%. That's why I still train. That's why I still do things because I don't want to lose that entirely. I don't want to, I don't. I don't have it in me to go every day of the week and several hours away. I just don't. I mean, I don't even have the mental mindset. Now, what I have fell in love with is going to the gym and working out. I love lifting weights now.
It's
I'm
good
much
for you.
stronger now than I ever have been, but it's just been, I was at the gym this morning. I woke up at 2:30 in the morning and just wide awake. I'm like, man, I'm just going to go ahead and go to the gym and just hit it hard today and put a couple hours in. And I don't normally do that, but I love it. I've gotten to where, I mean, that was something I've only picked up in the last 4 or 5 years, and I absolutely love going to the gym and lifting weights and get my back healthy and all that good stuff.
As we age, that's good for us too.
Yeah, heck yeah, I enjoy it.
As you were talking about this, I'm thinking about this story. I'm down in Costa Rica a couple years ago. Our whole crew from the gym locally is there right now. We were supposed to be, but I had a work commitment come up, and they're down
You
there
go
for
down there with
jujitsu.
Justin Court and that
A
crew,
friend,
Chewy.
I know Chewy. Yeah,
Yeah.
he goes to the same facility at Hero
Okay.
BJJ. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
my coach and friend Dan Hart's down there right now. He
Okay.
runs their biggest camp every year. We've been going down there for I don't know 5 or 7 years, but I'm down there a couple years ago. I think Henry Akins was teaching that event, and you're at an event like this, you've done it for years. You don't know who you're sitting next to. There's this older gentleman in his 60s, and we're just BSing between instruction. And now it comes time to start doing some practice. And it was we were in geese. So we stand up, and I'm like, I always joke with people. I say, "Don't hurt me. I won't hurt you." And he's like, "Okay, yeah, I won't hurt you." And he grabs onto me. He was probably 65. You could see he was fit, but you got a gi on, so I can't see his body. He grabs me, and as soon as he touched me, I was like, "Oh no!" And I'm like up and over and on the ground. Well, he's a freaking 40-year judo master. He is currently the doctor for the U.S. Olympic judo team.
Nice.
And
Nice.
but this dude grabs me, and I look at his
You
knuckles
can
as
feel it.
but his fingers look like
This is
freaking
all
links
calloused
of
right here, right?
chains. Yeah, they look like toe chains, right? And I was just like, I'm screwed. He was very nice to me, but like he couldn't turn it down. And so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
take our gis off later, and this dude just looks like a freaking pile of rocks, right? And he's like 65 years old. But he's telling me he's like replaced,
Yeah.
replace, and just pointing to all the bits. And he's like, I don't do this very often. But I mean, I'm almost 200 pounds. He freaking put me down over and over and over. And we were just, training. We weren't
Sure.
fighting, but
Yeah,
um,
sure.
he was more than capable of holding his own against a man 20 something years younger than him. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
he probably was only 160 pounds too. He was,
That's awesome, man. I
it was
love hearing
cool.
that about the judo man, you know,
Yeah,
good
it
judo
was
guys.
very cool. I've invited guys to come do some takedown seminars. I'm actually talking with what's the dude from New York? Um, Beautiful, long, flowing hair, Japanese. His father is like a
Oh, I know who
world
you're talking about.
champion.
I can't
I've been,
remember. I've been out of the game long enough now.
you know who
I
I'm
don't know a
talking
lot of
about.
people.
Shintaro, I think is
Yeah, I've
his
seen a
name.
bunch of his videos. He is smooth as silk, bro.
We're
I mean,
talking
he's
about bringing
good.
him out to do a seminar. But
Nice.
anyway, a small world. There's a definitely a tie that binds in that
Yeah.
community of people that grab onto each other and beat
Yeah,
each
for
other
sure.
up. So, how do people find you? How do they find your books? How do they find your social media and all that good jazz?
Everything originates out of naturereliance.org, the website, naturereliance.org. You can find links to all the social media and my bio and all that stuff there. But my social media is all Nature Reliance as well, at Nature Reliance. That's on Instagram and Facebook. We've got 1 million plus on Facebook. We've got 225,000 on Instagram, 170,000 on YouTube or something like that. We got a pretty good social media influence. My wife is the driver of all that. She does. I get on camera and look cool. She's the one that makes it all happen. She's the one that I've got the information and I present the information. She's the one that makes it usable on social media. She's like, Craig, I think you could start this off with this instead of what you just said. She videos, she does all the editing. So yeah, we have a good time doing all that stuff. She's
Oh,
really good at it.
that's awesome. And so is that your guys' full-time job is working together, doing this, running the
That's
organization?
her full time. Yeah, yeah. Her full time job is doing our social media, and it used to be just for not necessarily fun. It was work, but used to be that it was just to help bring exposure to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's earning a significant income from all the videos. She took our Facebook from 100,000 to 1 million plus in a year. And it was because she used to run our store because we have a store and we sell swag and a few other outdoor survival type things. And I design knives and sell those. She was doing that, and we passed that on to one of our instructors to handle that so she could focus solely on social media. And that's what she's done in the last year. It's incredible, man. She's killing it on social media.
I like that. It's a lot of work. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mental work, and you're oftentimes just glued to a little screen
Yep.
doing it. It's actually not it's not easy to excel at it. So if you're blowing up channels like that, besides having good content, there's a lot of back end work that
100%.
yeah. So I can
100%.
appreciate that. Your website has all the classes and sign up and all
Yeah.
that business.
So there's training. We have two different types of training. We have in-person courses, and I have an online school too, where I have students from all over the world, literally that do online training with me because we have, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of hours of training that's only available in our online school. That's not, most of our social media is that stuff that makes social media run. It's a minute here and a minute there. And in our online school, that's where I go into depth on topics that people want to know more about and actually get to study a topic instead of just get entertained or enriched by it.
I like it. I'm looking at the website right now. I'm going to have to sign up and bring my gal down, and we'll do
Yeah,
a
please do. We'd
class.
love to have you.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Where are you
time.
located?
We're near Chicago, northwest of
Okay.
Chicago. Yep,
Yeah, I was
out
going
in
to
the
say
sticks.
we might be doing a we're trying to work out details right now with a class up in Wisconsin, just north of you. And then we got another one over in Pennsylvania, but that's far. I was thinking I might have one closer to you than down here. But yeah,
Well,
we'd love to have you join us.
actually, I'm in Pennsylvania a lot. We're in Pennsylvania.
I don't know. I'm doing that as a collaborative agreement with somebody else, and I don't know exactly where I'm going to be. I don't even know what part of the state I'm in. It's about
Gotcha.
4 months off, so I haven't really looked at the details yet. But yeah, it'll be on the calendar in the next week or two as well.
Well, once we finish recording, I'm going to throw a couple things at you that I just popped in my head as we started talking. So,
Okay.
something I ask folks that come on, most people that see this and hear this will never meet you. What would you leave them with if they never come your way again? If they never cross your path again, what would you leave folks
Get
with?
outside. Get outside and do something. Do anything outside. Spend some time outside. The science is there to back me up when I say it's good for you. It's good for your spirit. It's good for your health. It's good for mental health, for physical health. You don't have to go out and track like I do. You don't have to go out and do tree identification. You just go out and walk in the woods or go into a park. If you live in Chicago, find a park. Go down by the lake. Just get to where you can see natural things and spend time outside. And I know for a fact that it'll be good for you, no matter who you are. Just find some nature and get into it.
I like that. You guys that tuned in, I think that there was a lot of good information here. We talked about stuff I wasn't planning on. I learned a lot myself. Go check out their storied amount of videos. They've got a pile of stuff. I spent hours combing through learning all kinds of things. You will maybe get yourself pushed, like he just said, to go out there and dig around in the woods and maybe eradicate some noxious weeds out of your backyard
Yeah, that
too.
sounds good. I
I
love
like
that. If we
that.
can have that effect, man, I'll be tickled to death by being on here today.
I like that. You guys, Christmas is coming. Don't forget, it's not just about you guys getting a bunch of goodies. Be nice to people. Be well. Don't be dickheads. And we'll see you soon. Visit our website, carrytrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., Carry Trainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@carrytrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@carrytrainer.com or carrytrainer.com.